Yo.
What's up?
Happy Friday.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
We made another one.
Friday night. We made another one, yeah. And what a week.
Are we in a good mood? I think we're in a good mood.
I think we're in a good mood. I think if I survive this week, I can survive any week.
Has
I
it
think
been
it's a
one of
good
them?
week. Yeah, one of them. Nice mug, mate. What does it say?
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. How you guys been doing?
Yeah, good. We've not really heard from you that much, Martin. You had your head down.
Yeah,
I had my head down. Yeah, I went viral on LinkedIn apparently as well.
Right. So this is crazy. Like, was this a repost of an old post then?
That was a repost of an old post I posted 6 months ago. I think I posted in a different time, and it just took off. More than 500,000 impressions.
Yeah.
Lots of connection, lots of conversation. The conversation in the comments are great. They made the post even better. Apparently, I missed a few things here and there, and people build up on that. So it's we had some really good conversations.
And this was a post, obviously, the content that you usually write about. You've stayed in your lane, over 500,000 impressions.
Yeah.
You've got the right people in your ecosystem, and that's
Yeah.
what you call proper viral for the right reasons, right? So
really good stuff.
Yeah.
Good week.
You guys, say again?
You're still on a high about that then?
Yeah, about that. We won a silver award for the work we've done of Sigma together. You know, the strategy that we've done as one, and then the implementation. So that's great. That picked up really well as well.
So technically, we're award winning now, Bam.
We are award winning. We can say it. You know, award winning collaboration strategy.
Yeah, man. We're a bit hungover, me and Ash. Obviously, we went to the big smoke last night.
Before we go into that as well, it's also 1 year from the launch of Pose, right? Which is our first strategy we've done together. The menopausal supplement brand, really good brand, purpose-driven, beautiful design done by Wes and his team, and hit boots in less than 6 months, isn't it? From strategy to shelves.
Yeah, strategy to shelf. What a line! Yeah, 6 months, man, and another product coming out like in just a couple of weeks. Wicked.
Amazing. That was a great story. 3 dudes working on Meno.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Meno dudes.
Dudes.
Memorable. Let's say what's up to everyone in the chat. Hello, Aaron. Good to see you. Miroslav, good to see you again, man. Ikra, drop in where you're from as well, and like as usual.
So let's score our week. My week's been a good 8. I'm a bit frail, but 8.
Yeah, put that down as well. How's your week been?
Your week.
8. Why 8, man?
I had a good week, man. I've had
Is that a good week? Last I'm sure it was a solid 9.
Yeah, well, okay, 8, 9. Look, Mark's still walking from the Shire to try and get his pints from last night. He's late.
Hey, Lena, what's happening? Hey, Justin.
Yeah, we can use that as a segue into Lena. So Lena's in the chat, and Lena was out with us last night. And,
was she?
He got a little. Yeah, we had a little meeting last night. We got into London, and 5-6 people all joined up last minute. We did the same thing in Berlin a couple of weeks back. I think we're going to start making a little WAM meetup, mate.
I think so. I think we should.
Here. Me and Ash had a little. We haven't obviously told you yet, Martin, because we thought about it this morning. But
I hate you.
I think we're going to make it. I think we've got.
You bastards have fun.
We've got a name and everything.
Hey guys, this is a revelation.
Ooh.
A news announcement. Mark has gone from 11 consistently to a 1. Mark, what's up, man?
I don't know. That's a big...
Someone has to save this man. His week was bad.
I think he meant to tap 1 twice, but he didn't.
Maybe. But Alfie's coach is in the chat. He's a great dude, Michael. Good to see you, man. Great.
Yeah, make sure he plays all the 90 minutes. Otherwise, we'll come and find you, mate.
Right, come on, let's go.
Let's get on with it. We've got another really cool episode lined up for you.
Amazing.
I think one that touches on a topic that impacts, I think, every organization, really, big and small, doesn't it? Like whether you realize it or not. It's that word culture, and not just the culture HR overseas, but the kind of culture that shapes, I think, your brand, your team, and ultimately your business and growth of your business. And our guest today is a brilliant one and someone really close to Wes as well. a powerhouse in this field, years of experience in shaping company culture, diversity, inclusion strategies. She's been instrumental in helping organizations not just set their tone for the internal culture, but also kind of leverage it to drive real business outcomes. She's the CEO of the Cavu Group, a consultant to global businesses, and the author of Expand Beyond Your Current Culture, where she outlines exactly how companies can shift their cultural narrative for long-term success. She's an expert, and she wants to ensure culture isn't just a buzzword, but a true engine and meaningful engine for growth. So where
Come on, bro. You're mixing your words, man.
He's hungover, mate.
Yeah. Welcome to the water cooler, Leslie Short.
Yeah. Hello, gentlemen. Hello.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being in. And apologies for Ash. I mean, he's an old man. One night out, he needs like a year to recover. Look at how
I'm usually in bed at 9, so like 2 o'clock is just like too much.
It was good.
You did well.
I'm with you, Ash. Don't worry about it.
Come out with me in the past. She knows. She can handle it.
But yeah, how's it going, Leslie?
It is going well. You know, the world's upside down, but we keep doing what we do. You know?
It definitely is on its ass, isn't it?
It really is.
You are in the safe area of US now, right? So you haven't been hit with all the hurricane and all that drama.
I'm good. I'm in Philadelphia, between Philadelphia and New York. I run back and forth, but we're good on this side. You know, I had to check in with friends and colleagues in Florida, no matter where they were in Florida. And not only that, it affected, flying. People were just stuck. Airports, things were being canceled. Meetings were being canceled because half the people just couldn't make connections in between. So, I'm wishing well for those that have been affected. This was a hard one.
Yeah.
Likewise. Yeah. All our best for the people from there, and hopefully everyone is safe.
Yes.
Come on then, Ash. Let's go.
Yeah. So where do we start? Well, so I think let's just talk about what a strong company culture looks like. It's like that big topic, right? And then we'll unpack it along the way. So, what defines a strong company culture, Leslie?
In your mind, in your way.
It's not one size fits all. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's always trying to give me the bullet points. And I'm like, if I could give you bullet points and every company could go do this, I'd be sitting on an island, sipping champagne, and I'd be good because I just keep giving you bullet points. It's also about stop writing that mission and vision statement on the wall. And then we're good. That's our culture. I'm always like, you have to take what's on that wall and you have to make it come alive.
Yep.
Who do you have? What do you want? What's your why behind the why for building a company, for coming in to work for a company? And then how do you want it to feel? Culture is a feeling. It's a thought process and it's a feeling. And so you have to figure out what you're trying to move. Who are you trying to supposedly invest in and motivate? And then when you have that pie in the sky, we want all our employees to be family. No, we're not. We're a community. Mm-hmm. So build a community of like mind, not all the same, but like mind people to help build your vision and allow them to see themselves as part of that. Mm. And that's how you begin to build culture. When you can see yourself when you walk in, sit in, move in, come in, and then you have to keep growing it. Mm.
Mm. So what do we get wrong the most out of your experience?
Yeah. We say we have it and we keep going. Oh, we have a great culture. And there's a disconnected culture. Yeah. Because there's culture that leadership sees, right? And there's the culture that employees actually feel and move in each day. And there is a disconnect.
Yeah.
Totally. And that's one of the biggest things. And so when I go into companies, I'm like, I want to speak to the CEO. I want to speak to leadership. But I need to speak from the mailroom to the boardroom. Mm. Because I need to figure out where is that disconnect. Mm-hmm. Not only from words, but actions, the movement, how people are being treated. Look, we're not here for kumbaya and we're all going to get along. we actually need not to get along sometimes because we need to push each other through good times and bad times.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a structure and if you don't have a focus and purpose of how to move through good times and bad times, you don't have a culture of one that people are invested in.
It's just work, isn't it?
It's just work.
So Leslie, how does that typically, so your process of doing that, you say you speak to everyone from the mail room to that C-suite. How does that process look for you? Like, do you and your team literally speak to people?
Yes.
Well, that's good. That's a good sign.
I speak to people. I want to speak to everyone. I personally speak to them. And I have spoken to over 300, 400 people. I've spoken to offices in India at 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning and been on another side of the world at 10 o'clock at night, because that's my process. Yes, I'm going to do paper assessments. Yes, I know that there's all types of other assessments you can do, and I do them. But the reality is people still don't trust them that the employee's not going to see that.
Well, yeah.
It's anonymous. So I have to have that conversation, but I have to build that trust with people as well. I'm coming out of nowhere, but I tell them, I have nothing to lose. I'm here to build for you. I get to have a check and can walk away if that's the way I want to look at it. But if I'm going to be here, tell me what you need. Tell me what's missing. I can't promise anything, but that's the only way I'm going to know how to move and build a strategic plan to make a difference.
It's interesting. So, oh my God, I have so many questions. I'm trying to put them all in. I'm trying to put them all in order. But it's hard, isn't it? Because the business definition of business is a company that sells products and services to make a profit, right? And that's the definition of work. But like lately, especially after COVID, like that got stretched quite a lot, isn't it? There's way more into that. And the C-suite and a public company, we need to sell shit so we can give money back to the shareholders, and that's the main focus. But then there is a whole different layer. So it's really hard for this C-suite to be connected with actually what culture is, isn't it? Because they're so invested into business.
But let's be honest, the C-suite is who should be leading culture. Leadership should be leading because they should set the tone of culture. Because what happens when you don't have a culture that's set, that there is a true tone and circle around it, then you start getting department culture.
Correct.
And it's usually a disconnect from what's happening. We're going to make our department hot. We're going to look great to the bosses. But then that's where the competition, that's where it's off-putting. And that's sometimes when I'm called in, because this one's not speaking to that one and that one won't speak to that one. Yes, there is a lot of C-suites that are disconnected. And that's when I come in and I'm like, then what do you want? You're asking something that you don't even know whether your employees can execute or not because you haven't paid attention. So if you can't do it at C-suite, who do you give the power to do to make sure culture is happening? And that's why there's some amazing chiefs of staff that is that liaison between the two.
That's the bridge.
I was going to ask about the bridge. Like, do you think like companies even realize this is happening? This is a thing.
I was going to ask, yeah. So who hires you, Barek, for example?
Yeah.
So it's a mix. I will get called by CEOs of leadership because they've seen me at speaking engagements, or that I've worked with the company and another CEO friend has said, "Oh, she actually advises me on a separate note. You should speak to her." I get called by HR. I get called by the DEI team. Those are usually someone, and I get a lot of referrals. I do very few pitches. I get a lot of referrals because they know that I'm going to come in. I'm not fluffy. I'm warm, but I'm not fluffy. That's why you got to shake your head.
Warm but not fluffy is good. That's a good poster for Wes.
I have known Leslie a long time. That's what I'm saying.
But warm is also fluffy on the edges, where you hug.
Yeah, right. We can be a little fluffy. But I care about people.
100%.
But I'm not there as your therapist.
Yeah.
Whether it's the CEO or whether it's a team. But I know that everyone has a different process of how they're processing showing up to work each day. So therefore, my job is to understand that, take out their fluff and their issue and their complaints to find the real issues. So it's a lot of peeling back the layer. And then with leadership, it is, you're looking at the bottom line. Let me explain to you how your bottom line works when you have to keep bringing in new employees. That training process, the insurance process, that costs money every time you hire someone.
Yeah.
So if you keep having a turnover, it's not about them to a certain extent. It's about the way you're running this company as a leader, and the I'm going to say structure, policies, feelings, how you're building it as a culture. Can people see themselves being in C-suite one day? Can they see themselves becoming a manager one day? Let's not go to C-suite. And then does the money match that? Does the insurance match that? Are you upscaling your employees? Are you giving them opportunities to learn new skills? That's going to help with your bottom line.
Yeah.
You can't just do a manager training and be like, oh, we had a great manager workshop, if you're not giving them the tools how to be a manager.
Do you think like they start taking it seriously when they realize that it could be an ROI issue?
No,
like,
I was going to say exactly that. Like, what kind of symptoms do they come to you for? Like, they don't say we've got a bad company culture, obviously. Well, I mean, I imagine so.
Some of them do. Some of them,
right.
Like, they won't say we have a bad company culture. We have something's not right. And I'm like, or
right.
Now you have a younger generation that is vocal. See, you have to remember, some of the C-suite are still from a generation that you showed up to work, you do your work and you go home, or you stay there for whatever. We have a younger generation. It's like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I don't feel it. This is not a safe space. I want to see more women in leadership. They're vocal about what they want to see.
Oh man,
we're Black and brown people.
Yeah.
Not just in a job that is at a lower level. Where are they in the C-suite? Where are those that have disabilities? Why aren't you taking care of us? And so that shakeup of that buzz, some CEOs don't want to deal with that. So I get hired to figure out, they want me to come to them and I figure it out. They don't have time to figure it out. And they don't have anyone that they feel they can put towards figuring it out.
Yeah. Do you mind if we flick to some questions from the audience as well? Because I think there's some good ones here. When we were talking about, when you're having conversations with people in the organizations in different departments, I mean, I'm not sure if you can answer this directly, because I'm sure there's not a set of questions. It's more conversations from what I'm hearing. Right. But are there any kind of real crucial questions that you asked the team here, what George is saying, to understand their view of the culture and how it makes them feel?
Yeah. And so one of the process I'll give you is that I'll ask, give me the top 5 words that you think of.
Right.
How you feel about your culture.
Yeah.
And that's one of the first questions that I'll ask everyone. Because if I ask how you feel, you're going to give me everything that somebody else happened and what did and what they didn't do. What's the 5 words you think of when you come to culture here? And when I start seeing a pattern, if I'm doing however many interviews, whether it's 10 or 300, and I see the same words keep coming up,
there must be
a pattern of a problem. Exactly.
Do you so we do this when we're interviewing brand, right? When we're going into business and we do the audit, we ask questions to staff, to owners. Do you feel like there's a bit of hesitance or resistance at the start to actually be truthful? Because we get that, and then when you start digging a bit and they let their guard down, they realize, actually, this is actually the real truth. Do you know? You
know what it is? It's also depending on how I'm introduced into the company.
Right. How you're introduced.
How I'm introduced. And sometimes especially in the cohort, I'm just introduced on a Zoom, full company. Leslie's going to be coming in. This is what she's going to be doing. And you see the faces.
Yeah.
Why are they going to listen to her? You ain't listening to nobody else.
Yeah.
But I'll do my 3 or 4 minute hello. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. I'm going to be in the office. And I show up. I show up, I say hello. Mm-hmm. How are you? What's going on? I'm working when they see the way that I'm moving in the office. Mm. I'm not moving like I'm Alicia. I'm moving and I'm coming in and I'm like, what's going on? And so by the time I get in that room, sometimes some will still be, if you just got hired, they're like this.
Yeah.
I just got here. Don't mess up my game. Others that have been there are like, listen, let me tell you.
Let me tell you how things used to be and what is happening now.
Yeah. Or then they use it as a therapy session and they want to just get all that shit out. Like,
yeah. And for some, I take it because they have not had anyone to have a conversation with. Mm-hmm. And that's problematic because you can send out all the assessments you want, but if you don't have conversation with the assessment on what was found and how you move, then you just wasted people's 30 minutes or 15 minutes of checking a box. Mm-hmm. So there has to be more. You can't build a culture without having communication. Yeah. And that's usually also a breakdown.
Yeah, because there's a little comment in the chat from Michael. Like he was basically saying the C-suite are engaged, but that doesn't actually filter down. And I would raise that point. Like unless you've got a way to communicate or articulate this thing through, or have people to carry that message through, and these values and these behaviors, obviously that's going to be a breaking point as well. You know.
And it's not a filter down, it's a conversation with. See, that's the issue. Brilliant. Filter down, you went through all we said this, then the executive managers are going to say this, and the manager is going to say that, then the director is going to say that. By the time it got to you filtered down, it's been remixed 3 or 4 times, and you're just being told to do it without context. Like I'm always like, sometimes take a moment and give context how this is what I'm asking you to do fits into a bigger picture. Because if you're in a large corporation, you don't understand your widget, where it goes and why it needs to be there at a certain time. You're just told, make the widget. Yeah. And so there has to be that context of understanding how everyone's role plays in the system of executing the bottom line and how you are part of that and how you benefit from that.
Because that's the emotional reward, right? I think is the benefit.
Right. Because look, some people want to come and get a check and go home. Don't ask me nothing. I don't need to be at the picnic. I don't need to go on the ride. I don't need to be at the pizza party. And I say, you know what? Sometimes you need to show up at the pizza party. Yeah. Because who's in people's face is who sometimes is get nominated to get promoted. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's fair. It's just the reality of if you're presenting your work and you're showing up. Yeah. And someone's like, hey, did you know so-and-so worked on this? That's top of mind. Just because you do a great job doesn't always mean you're going to get rewarded for it.
Yeah, I think that's super vital, and it's something that I learned as well throughout my career. That I think there is a component of being good at your work, but there is also a component that increasingly more important of being good with people as you go progress with your career, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely,
it has to go with it, isn't it?
You have to. I say you have to brand yourself within a brand. You have to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and you have to know if you're not the best at promoting yourself within a culture that's all about, then who's your advocate within that company? Do you have an advocate that's a level up that you can go speak to? Or is that mentor? And you have someone else helping advocate for who you are within a culture that may not always see someone unless you're at a certain level.
Yeah.
And so I also say in cultures that are very tight like that, build that mentorship. What does it lose from leadership for a C-suite person to speak with someone else, to go for a coffee, or to have a 10-minute meeting? Once a month, it's a month. Because all you're doing is allowing people to invest in. And that's part of culture. So it's those types of things where I think people think culture is the pizza party and all of this. Build that mentorship. How do you invest in people?
Should we shift not gears, lanes a little bit, because I want to know a little bit more about you. Like, how did you get into all of this, and why does it matter to you? There's a bigger story, I'm sure.
Tell your journey, Leslie. Like, this is fascinating, and
I can only tell you a little bit because I have the book coming out. So, but I will say, so my first career was a classical ballet dancer. So how do I know what, without those words, diversity, equity, inclusion, culture? Listen, I was a little black girl dancing classical ballet at the age of 7. I was chosen. I turned professional at the age of 12. When women or girls or someone say to me, "Oh my God, I'm the only one in a room," I'm like this: I'm the only one in countries. I've literally been the only one in countries, trying to get a weave done, trying to get my hair relaxed, trying to find makeup that is even not even close to my color, making sure my mother can send it to me, having people play jokes on me with taking brown wigs away from me on the stage.
Wow.
And leaving me the blonde wig. So I would get upset or fight so they could maybe try to squeeze me out from performing. So this has been part of my life from day one. Luckily, I have a great family that taught me, you go in, you don't lean on your talents, you lean on who you are. Your talent is a gift. How you use it, how you express it, how you stand up for yourself makes a difference. But I also realized very early on that there was a lot of people that did not know that they had a voice, even at the age of 12, 13, 14, and that I would advocate for them. Now, as a classical ballet dancer, you keep your mouth shut, you eat your apple, and you get on the scale on Monday and you do what you're told to do. The issue is you're also told that there's nothing else in this life. You dance, you dance, you dance, you dance. So many of my friends did not have a career after, or they've done things, but the careers have not always been invested in. I took everything I learned from dancing, everything I learned from when I retired. I lived in Europe for 10 and a half years. I lived in Asia for 3.5. I opened my first business in Japan. Now imagine that. You're a gaijin, foreigner, woman, black woman, foreigner woman, black woman with a mouth.
With a voice, yeah.
That's his recipe for get her out of here.
Yeah.
But yet, when I came up with the concept of the theater, I had all my ducks in a row of what I wanted, and was able to make a deal to build this theater that built them in lots of money. And when I go back to Japan, and I haven't been back in years, but I went back with a client years later, and someone walked into the meeting and they were like, "Leslie Sum? J-Men's?" And they just went, "Give her what she wants. She makes money."
Wow.
So when I speak about culture, I don't only speak about the culture for which we're coming to work in. What's people cultural being? Are we looking at that? Are we respecting where people have come from and what they bring with them each day? And so that's something, and I'm talking not only race or religion, food, just being how they live, how they've been taught to move, because we don't show up and leave our bags at the door that we came from home with. We bring that into the workplace. And we can say it doesn't matter all we want, but it does matter. And so that was something that I always saw that is not being addressed. And I would say, listen, we have to have a moment. This person's going through something. We just not going to ignore it. Because in dancing, if a girl passed out from not eating, you were told to step over her so you could take her spot. So in my head, there's always a competition, but I'm competing against myself. With everyone else, I got to make sure people are good around me, because I can't ask people to do things if they're not good and settled. You don't get the best out of people.
So much to untangle there, and like it's incredible how many connection with personal brand building as well. And personally as well, I was on a long journey of finally being myself for the longest time as well. I also come from mixed background, immigrant, being in different places and trying to fit in by just being someone else. And you have like a wonderful story. So it, to me, feels like from the outside you were predestined to be on the career path that you are now, isn't it? Like you just had the right experience, the right circumstances, and the right personal drive. When did you realize that there was actually the career that
your superpower?
Your superpower?
You know, I don't know if the moment of really recognizing and saying I want to turn this into doing it every day. It was something I've always done. If someone's in the hospital, someone will call me and be like, something's going wrong. I'll be like, I'm on my way. And I would just get all the doctors, and people are like, how you just walk into the hospital after hours and start calling doctors and pulling stuff? I'm like, because it needs to be done. I've always been that. And I was working on something and I just said, you know what? This is serving no real purpose. It's cute. It's great, but it's not hitting my spirit. And, you know, I'm a chaplain, ordained minister. When I was working in a hospital as a chaplain, they kept asking me, was I a mediator, the doctors? Because I would come in and help them with families beyond a prayer or blessing or any of that. And so I went and became a certified mediator. I'm always learning something new because that's something that I love. And I said, everything that I do one day may be just my passion, or it just may be something. And I was sitting in a meeting in New York, and this company kept saying, I don't know anything about this diversity, this inclusion. We had multicultural marketing. I can't find people. Oh my God, they want me to hire someone with a disability. I don't have any Black folks here. What am I supposed to do? I said, we're on the corner of New York City. You can walk out and find 15 people that have some kind of talent. Yeah. What's the talent you need right now? But 15 people have a talent. This is ridiculous. And I was so annoyed hearing it as a buzzword.
Yeah.
That after me saying to everyone I was not going to start another company, I literally came home and registered the name, and it was just like the Kawa Group is born. And it took me a year, which I never take that long for anything. I have an idea, I'll turn it on a dime, pick up the phone, make it happen.
Why did it take so long then?
I wanted to build it differently. I really wanted to study the human psyche. I wanted to study mental health. I wanted this to be a company that, one, it wasn't only me. So I have an advisory council. I don't call them a board. They're a council. I have people, whether they're in wheelchairs, disabilities, gay, trans, white, Black, older, younger, across, Muslim, everyone, Jewish. And I wanted to be able to be able to pick up the phone and say, here's what I think, but you're living it. Can you share with me how you're living it? Can we pull some of your friends, family, community, so that when I go in, I'm never just speaking from my own lived experience. I'm speaking because I've spoken to experts and people in the trenches every day living this.
And that's how you do it properly. That's work done properly, that is.
I love that. And Leslie, throughout your career and experience, how far are we from inclusions and diversity not being something that we have to talk about, like a problem that we have to address,
like a checkbox exercise,
a checkbox exercise, and becoming just something fucking normal, you know?
Well, I'm in America. You all aren't at this moment, and it is has been weaponized.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of the issue is if you go up and you asked, I believe, half the people that are weaponizing DEI and ask them what does it mean, and to break down each word, they would not be able to do that. They've decided to, I'm going to say that they out loud, as in groups of people that have decided that DEI should be weaponized, that it is critical race theory, which is completely different than DEI. If I say and part of the issue is there's a couple. One, there's no true definition. There is a true definition. Let me take that back. But there's so many definitions out there. So people have just made up their own, right? When I say diversity, race, gender, LGBTQ plus, disability, sight seen and unseen, and veterans. So the same folks that are weaponizing DEI doesn't realize veterans are underneath that. DEI is not new. It started in the 60s. And that was a peel off from affirmative action. And then it continued to grow. Started with race, added gender, added LGBT. And so that's the growth of it. Will there be a day that we don't? Number one is not an add-on. So we need to stop speaking like it's an add-on. You want to speak about culture? If you do your culture right, diversity is a given because you're attracting anyone that wants to come in and work on this mission and purpose and focus. So we need to stop having conversations about DEI and have conversations of how do you build your culture and build it as part of a foundation that will allow people to walk in and see themselves. Because you can invite me into that room all day and say I'm included, because that's what people like to do. Well, come through. But when I come through and you don't give me a program book on what's happening or an introduction to the next person, then I'm just in the room. Now I need to take that program book once I'm in and have the tools and skills how to work it, right? And I have to take that introduction and be able to maybe move that to make my own introduction. But you can't just put me in a room and tell me I'm included. Equity for me is access. So once I'm in that room, are you giving me the access to actually move throughout the room, that it is something that can be more than just a hello?
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a job. I'm not looking for someone to hand me anything. No one's asked anyone to hand them anything. Can we in the room and have access to build our skills, share our skills, and continue to move? That was a long answer. Sorry.
So we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, shit ton.
Yes. Bottom line is we're nowhere close to where we need to be as human beings. But then you have to remember we're dealing with human beings. So when I walk in the room, what do you see first?
Exactly, but then it's a problem that it's a precedent to work, isn't it? It's like what you were experiencing as growing up that made you the amazing professional you are. So if we're addressing it at work, maybe we're a tiny bit too late.
Yeah.
100%, because it starts from home and community. And that's why I say that you don't leave your home or your community. I always say, what's in your bag? I have a whole workshop on what's in your bag.
Right.
What do you push down when you get to work, but it's still in the bag. So, but it started there. It started in your home. It started in your community, how we react to people, our thought process. You know, if you've been attacked by someone, your natural reaction is, I don't want to be anywhere near those types of people, right? But we all know that there is no type of people that you have to take people as individual basis.
Yeah.
But we're a society of group them in, show them off.
Labeling, yeah.
So Leslie, going back to that kind of checkbox exercise, because there will probably be companies, organizations, and leaders doing this just because of that, because they have to be seen to do this. How do you go in and ensure that once you start fixing it, because it's never fixed, it's an ongoing thing, I would imagine, right?
Right.
How do you ensure that once you're done with what you're doing, that it carries on? What kind of measures do you
I asked a similar question, like what do you leave behind? Like,
so there's two things. One, I walked out of 2 companies.
I was going to ask that question. Have you ever walked out?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I hire people anyway on a good day.
I mean, I survived 6 years. I did good. Like I think I did my rounds.
I absolutely have had to say what you said to me coming in and how your work is moving. Especially the one person that said to me, I will not celebrate LGBTQ anything, and I will not do Hanukkah. I do Christmas and that's it. And I said, then you're not here to do the work, and I won't be your beard to say I hired this Black woman to come in and do this. As of effective immediately, you are no longer my client.
Wow. How does somebody in 2024 even say that? Like, I don't
know. Oh, they say it.
I can't even process that.
And so what I leave behind is the fact that when I am working with companies that have gone, there is no closed door. I may not still be on retainer for some, but what I will do is you can always pick the phone and call me. And I actually would prefer you did sometimes before you even called your attorney. And like one client, something did happen and they had me on the phone with the attorney. And they're like, we'll pay you whatever. And I'm like, let's just get this done at this moment. Because it was about to be bad.
Yeah.
So I leave them tools. I leave people in places as well. But I also help to change process and procedures and policy because I'm looking through handbooks. And so as much as we speak about C-suite and that, does the HR people, is it written somewhere? Are they familiar with it? Or have we given workshops to the managers or directors that actually have to carry out these things? Yeah. And so I make sure that there's tools in place and people in place. But most of my clients we have an open door where if they need me, I can come jump back in. A lot of times they ask me, will I stay on just so employees can call me? Wow. So that they can keep an ear with employees.
Wow.
Well, it's just just a bit of an audio thing. I think we might getting some feedback. Do you want to try muting until you talk?
Yeah, I think
is that better? I think we're getting feedback again.
Yeah, or you can just leave, Wes.
Yeah, we can just. Sorry, Wes. Yeah, because it was important stuff you were saying, but yeah, we got that anyway. But
actually, Lena has a good question as well.
Yeah, I was gonna try and dissect that in a different way. Like, like I guess in the chat it was all talking about race, but I'm talking about this in general. Do you think it changes like in parts of across the world, or is it easier to kind of introduce it into one country or one community than the rest?
It's how it's positioned. So in the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, you all are still very much speaking about race.
Yeah, hugely.
It's race. DEI is not just race.
Yeah.
Like they tried to turn it that way in the States as well. But then you're not having a full conversation and you're not serious about it. Race is part of a conversation that has to be bigger, because if you hire Black and brown folks to come in and you haven't looked at your culture, looked at your policies, have a conversation with the company overall why you're expanding communities, then you're bringing people in 9 out of 10 to set up to fail. So I think when I'm speaking in India or I'm speaking in Africa, there's more classism or colorism.
Right.
That's those conversations that are happening. And then there is a lot of sexism in certain countries.
Yeah.
And so I have to know where I'm going. Like I did something with a company in Africa, and I made sure I wore a ring that was a wedding ring.
Right. Because
I knew the men I was speaking to in senior levels would not have respected me if they thought I was single.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's my job as a practitioner to also know what I'm walking into. That's why we've had so much backlash, because people walked in and was going to give their lived experience, but did not read the room and understand who you're speaking to. I always ask who's in the room that I'm going to walk into, each of them. So I have a better understanding on how I need to shift it for people to hear it and understand it, as opposed to me just throwing out stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, like here in Cyprus, there isn't much a conversation about race happening, unfortunately. But like one of the most predominant problems we can see is women in power and women in management position. I think that's the conversation is starting to happen, but still a lot of those traditional patriarchal big corporation, small island, big family businesses, and you just see dudes.
You forgot the other bit though, like veganism is a big problem in Cyprus.
Oh, I know it. My diet in Cyprus is chips and pita bread.
That's all you can eat.
And Leslie, like, when did you decide that it was the right time to integrate boxing as well? It was because no one was listening to you, so you decided to just beat the shit out of them.
I know this career. There's so much more in here. Like, it's wild.
Yeah. So I was always a boxing fan. I don't know. I love boxing, and because boxing there's an art to boxing. And I was at FUBU, and I worked with Muhammad Ali. I worked with Lennox Lewis. I had opportunity to meet and work with some of the greatest boxers in the world. And one day I passed this boxing gym. I was on my way to a meeting. I'm in my 3-inch heels. That was still wore heels, and I'm clicking. And I saw it, and I walked past, and there was another guy in the office. And I was like, I walked into the PR office. I went, everybody find me a gym. And they're like, we not her assistant. And one of the guys, there's one up the street. I said, I'm going back there. I walked into the gym in my 3-inch heels, my little skirt, and I was like, how much is it for a month? I was like, I think 5. I was like, here's my credit card. What time do you open? I'll be back tomorrow. And even he was like, she's never coming back. I don't know what just happened, but I'm going to take this $175 and be done. And I showed up the next day, and I was like, what do I have to do not to be a chick in the gym? He was like, excuse me, it was a Mexican gym. I was like, I'm here. I respect the sport. What do I need to do? And the owner of the theater, rest his soul, Francisco Mendez Boxing, took me under his wing. And within 4 months, I was already talking about my first fight, and I was ready to go. And I had my first exhibition fight. Music. What am I coming out to? He's like, it's an exhibition fight. There's no music. I was like, when's the press conference? When's the weigh-in? And and I will say, I use DMX's music.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what song it is. But I had my shorts labeled. My name was Balls, because I figured at that age, we're not going to say what age, I had to have some balls to step into a ring and start swinging. And so not only did I fight, I got my coaching license. I was helping people train, my trainer's license for Golden Gloves and Golden Gloves. And yeah, I went, got my belt, Kansas City ringside.
Champion right there.
You gotta call me champ when I walk into the gym.
Are you still into it in terms of coaching and stuff, or?
No, I just got my career just got really busy, and it was at one point really consuming, because I was going to the fights with the boxers, and they were like Mendez girl, and they would just always call me Mendez girl, because I would be down in the locker room taping hands and doing all of that, and I loved it. But I was like, okay, I have a business to run all gym, but I love it, and I still speak to his son. And there's a boxing gym near my Philadelphia office. I popped in there. That was my first place I popped into. I was like, you need help with marketing and branding? Let's do this. I built gyms. Let's go. So
good.
Leslie, such an insightful conversation, but also such a fun conversation as well.
I cried twice in this. Don't ask me why.
Can you tell us about what you're working on, Wesley? Like future things coming up?
Absolutely. I've been doing a lot of work as a corporate operations strategist. So when I'm going into companies, I'm looking at the full picture, the business, as well as the culture, all of it, and help them see where the holes are, where they can build, whether they're expanding, whether they're restructuring. So I'm enjoying that. I want to get back to Europe and work. That's, I miss Europe desperately.
Which is not UK.
This is not the UK, exactly.
Yeah, you not the UK anymore.
That one.
You mean the real Europe, right?
No. And so looking at expanding back into Europe, doing this work, but I have a new book deal, and I thought I was going to write a leadership book, and they came back and said, no, that can be your third book. We want to have the memoir now, the real true stories of from dancing to the boardroom to traveling.
Do I make your memoir?
Class.
I didn't get to the FUBU section yet. So yes. Now you say, bless you, because you say you made the memoir. All my friends are like, so who's gonna play me in the movie? I'm like, That's not how this works. I have to write it.
Like, who would play me in the movie?
But who's gonna play you, Leslie?
Yeah, who's gonna play Leslie?
I said Kerry Washington, and the other people said no. So people,
I'm with Kerry Washington all day.
So I look, I don't really get that
Leslie,
far.
on that note, this is just a little bit.
Oh yes.
On that note of you meeting Wes, how did that happen then?
Tell the story.
How much time?
I want to hear Leslie's anecdote on this.
And also, kids are not in bed. Are not in bed yet, huh? So behave, both.
Yeah. We'll keep it safe for work stuff.
No. You came in. So technically, I had no business giving Wes orders. I was at that point. I was president of marketing, collection, FB Entertainment, anything Food One that day. So pretty much anyone that came in, at some point I touched, no matter what it was. And because I was considered one of the executives there. And Wes came into the design department with his white shoes on and his accent. And I was like, okay, a little flavor. He's going to be okay. But then I saw he was also really talented. And I always was around because I felt, again, even though I'm doing PR, marketing, and advertising, I need to know what they're doing. I need to understand why they're doing what they're doing so I can share out. And Wes was just I used to say coloring, just in there coloring his little logos and drawing and an accent. And he was just cool. I'm going to keep PG. He was just cool. And he became my buddy. He got yelled on a few times.
Oh, I got scorned like a few times. 100.
Could you honestly understand anything he was saying?
Yeah. You forget I lived overseas. So for me, yes. Now some of the people were like,
for you it was easy. Yeah, for you it was easy.
For me, it was easy. Some people were like, oh, what? But if you understood FUBU at the time, it was the international nation. Our office, talk about culture, was everyone. And everyone had a voice, even when they should maybe not always have one.
Is that a point at me there, Leslie? Is that a point at me? Like,
no, not at all. What's your story meeting me? I don't remember. See, they set people higher.
Yeah, I told you before the call, like, I worked out quickly that I had to keep you in my corner because you like pull some punches. I'm telling you straight. And I worked out very quickly. Talk about reading the room. I read the room. And then we were buddies. Like, we just saw eye to eye. Like, you know, he kind of took me under his wing anyway. And I think you saw that. And then we got really tight. And obviously then the closer I got to Damon, I got closer to you. And, you know, then the rest is history, right?
But you were talented and you saw the talent and you came into work. Even though there was, partying times, it was 80s and 90s, you showed up to work and you got it done. And I always had respect for you, the way that you worked and the way that you moved.
Appreciate you, lady.
So nothing changed then?
Nah, staying party hard, work hard.
Yeah.
Same until my grave will happen that way.
So
look,
yeah, we're coming. Sorry,
Can we go on, Leslie? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, all these years later, whether we speak or not, the moment we speak is like we've never left each other. Like, just keep.
100.
We're good.
That is the magic of Wes, one of the many magics. But now, can we get to the favorite part from Ash?
Come on.
Would you like you to ask us a question?
Yeah. Ask us.
Yeah, this is the bit that Ash hates.
Ash hates this question. Ask us a question.
Am I asking Ash?
Well, no,
any of us.
We'll let Ash answer it though.
Generally.
All right. What makes you get up and want to do this work?
Wes.
Oh.
Why is it? Do I always?
No, you are my reason. That's what I said.
Yeah. Where's you're not my reason, but answer it.
No, I don't know, but like we did this whole thing, just this one section here. What we're doing right now is just to get our voices out there, give other people opportunities to stand up, talk, expose themselves, and like people like you just coming on, like something that either we want to discuss it or we don't want to discuss it. It's in our domain, and it gives people like you to talk and open and just be themselves. Like I think we, just to to go back to the original question, why we do the water cooler is real talk, real conversation, no edits, no like, let's play that back. You know what I mean? Like, just honest, just be honest. Because I think this organic conversation that we've had right now, it hits hard and it's real. And that just drives me to do another one. Yeah. Start the call like I said. I'm hungover. I'm hungover sweats. Like I can't be asked to do this. Like, but I'm like, I want to do it. Like, let's go, let's run, let's jump. You know. And,
it's just about learning and growing and just like with different people, and that's what the work that we do as well. Like we don't like assign ourselves to one category of the type of work or industry, because we just want to learn, we want to grow, and we want to meet new people. And that's definitely one of the reasons why we do this water cooler. But also, like we've just, us three, we hate doing like strategy on our own now that we
can't do it without each other.
We've experienced working together, so the right people as well.
Yeah, and I think that the most important one that these two don't have the balls to say is that we like to have people way smarter than us on the show, so we can also elevate ourselves.
No, it's great.
This is a great comment. Like VJ in the chat was like, was I the diversity hire?
not even close. That's the funny part. Not even close. I mean,
if they only knew me.
He was the foreigner, from a faraway island with that accent.
There was everyone, because you have to remember, it's fashion. So if you're doing, you need somebody from India somebody needs to speak to India. You need someone from Russia in your office. We had Russians. There was everyone. We had our rabbis coming in. We had this one coming in. It was a mix of everyone, and every Black person wasn't the same. The girl from Europe like wanted to do tea breaks, and we had the dudes from the hood, and we just had, if you were talented and you could do what you said you could do, you were in.
Yeah.
Let's rock.
The 66th floor of the Empire State was like, it was like a zoo. It was like you walked out the lifts and like
cliffhanger.
Oh man, this is like
in the next episode with Wes Henstock, you walk out of the lift and
with like 66 transvestite like models walking down, and you'd be like, what the hell is going on in that studio down there? Like, I just don't know. It was wild times.
But here's the best. I met a man. So I ran into a man that had the opposite end of ours. And he said he would step off the elevator and he was just like, you look like the executive there, like you didn't belong there, because everyone else was so wild and you would be in your heels and you were always on the phone, you were always moving. And I would be like, what is going on down there? And the amount of celebrities that would come through.
Yeah, you didn't know who was going to walk in that room. Like my idols that I grew up with, like obviously being in hip hop, and like you'd see people walk in the room and I'd be like, oh, like what the fuck? You know what I mean? It was amazing.
Politicians, athletes, actors, you name it, everyone came to our office.
Yeah, it was wild.
Including Wes Henstock.
Yeah.
Including Wes.
Leslie, where can people find you? Tell us about the book that you have out already. Tell us a bit more about where people can find out more about you.
I'm, of course, on LinkedIn under Leslie Short. All my social media is under the Cavo Group. And the book, Expand Beyond Your Current Culture, is on Amazon, still available. And, I wrote, thank you. I wrote it a 101 entry into DEI. Let's not make this a PhD. We don't need the brain attaches to the arm. Man, learn how to speak to people, ask the right questions. And if you're not clear, I interviewed like 40 different people and said, what do you want leadership to know? Give me tidbits, and did that. And then really was able to give a calendar per month. Like, here's your checklist. If you can't do anything, if you're a person that needs a checklist, here's some exercises for you to do.
And at the back, it breaks it down by month. It's like step by step. Genius.
And then I did a little like international. Here's what's going on internationally on these conversations, and interview people for that. So, excuse that we can't look at each other and figure out how do we move together.
Great sign off.
Stop, stop putting people into groups. Stop doing the checkbox. Stop assuming you know who people are and what they can do, and start asking, and then giving them the tools to succeed. Because if you're only about the bottom line, there's enough stats to say when you have a culture that has a diversity of thought-minded people with diverse backgrounds and experiences, your bottom line will only be stronger for that. And you see the companies that have that.
Genius. Amazing.
Great way to end the session.
I could talk for another hour.
Yeah.
Do you want to come back for round 2, Leslie?
Absolutely.
Get the drinks out.
I think this is the first time we've gone over.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Great conversation, Leslie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, honestly, one of my favorites, Leslie. Have a lovely day.
Have a great day. Love you.
Have a great
Take
day.
care.
Well, I'll talk to you soon. Be good.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Wow, man.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
I'm privately going to get in touch with Leslie and just ask a little bit more of that dirt.
I tell you as well. I'm surprised she didn't drop more.
Are you crying, Wes?
I cried. Yeah, I've cried 3 times, man. I've seen Leslie in action. I know how this girl works, man. And
powerful.
She's amazing. Yeah, she really is. I think the most important quote in the book, just to end this session on, is inclusion is not a problem to solve, but an opportunity to seize.
Yeah.
And when we think about it like that, we make moves.
100.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go, guys.
And on that note,
we got a good guest in 2 weeks. It moves into culture as well. It's another back-to-back.
It's a good segue, yeah.
From a great...
We have amazing guest.
He's
yeah,
he's he's the one that wrote that book.
He did write a book as well. Yeah. It's amazing.
Thanks, everyone, for joining. Have a great Friday.
Yes,
Enjoy
mate.
the rest of your weekend.
2 weeks.